It's an everyday thing, it's an everyday thing, it's an everyday thing when you let your nuts hang.
This morning, an urgent investigation underway after a shooter opens fire at an ICE facility in Dallas, Texas, in what authorities are calling an act of targeted violence against the agency, killing one detainee and critically injuring two others before taking his own life.
Early evidence that we've seen from rounds that were found near the suspected shooter contain messages that are anti-ICE in nature.
SWAT teams rushing to the scene just after 6:40 Wednesday morning, responding to reports of a man firing multiple rounds from a rifle.
There's going to be a sniper on top of the roof.
All of the victims shot while still in transport vans. No ICE officers were injured. Authorities say the alleged shooter was located on a nearby roof a few hundred yards away. Bullets shattering a window and a display with an American flag.
Hubieran como 20 detonaciones.
Myra from Nicaragua telling me she heard the gunfire while inside waiting for her immigration status check-in. Her daughter, who was on a call outside in her vehicle recording those gunshots. FBI agents finding rounds of ammunition on the rooftop where the alleged shooter, 29-year-old Joshua John, was perched, with writings on one unspent round reading anti-ICE. Police say the suspect's vehicle had a poster taped to the rear fender showing a map of an alleged nuclear fallout, though it's unclear if there's any link to the shooting. According to his friends, the alleged gunman was not overly political and was mainly interested in video games and internet culture. This attack comes on the heels of a bomb threat on the same facility just last month. And in July, authorities say multiple armed assailants attacked an ICE facility in Alvarado, Texas, where one officer was wounded.
This is the second time I've had to stand in front of you and talk about a shooter at one of my facilities. It's just got to stop.
Back in Dallas, the community now in mourning.
Pray for the speedy recovery for those who are hurt and were injured in what happened. We're a country and a city that needs prayer.
We have confirmed that later on this morning, this ICE facility will open back up. That woman I spoke with, Myra, she has an appointment at 11 a.m. She says she is very nervous about coming back here. All of this coming amid a new poll that was released asking Americans, do you feel like the violence in this country is happening because of how people talk about politics? 82% said yes.
Ooh, they said, I don't care if they shooting at y'all's illegal asses. I need you back in this courtroom tomorrow at 11 a.m. All right. Want to become American? You got to deal with American politics. Okay.
Just getting new information here from officials on the ground. Dallas police say 4 people were shot in total and 2 are dead. That includes the shooter. Officials just gave an update saying that they are investigating the shooting as an act of targeted violence. Just getting new information here from officials on the ground.
This needs to stop. Violence is wrong. Politically motivated violence is wrong. To every politician who is using rhetoric demonizing ICE and demonizing CBP, stop. To every politician demanding that ICE agents be doxxed and calling for people to go after their families, stop. This has very real consequences. Look, in America, we disagree. That's fine. That's the democratic process. But your political opponents are not Nazis. And we should come together. If we want to have a debate about immigration policies, we can do so in the halls of Congress without demonizing each other, and especially without demonizing the men and women who every day put on a badge and go risk their lives to keep us safe.
All this would make sense if ICE agents were shot. So I don't know who briefed Ted Cruz on this. Who briefed Ted Cruz on this? Nobody.
Never done that, but there are people in your party that have done that. Do you think that's responsible?
Listen, I think that fascism and fascists is a very special category of people, and you should use it when it's really applicable and sparingly, because then people will believe you when you.
This is to stop anti-ICE rhetoric, okay? Anti-ICE rhetoric.
To say it. And it has become too common to hear words like that. And that is a both sides problem. And last week we went through the litany of times that Donald Trump has used that rhetoric, and the fact that he came out after Charlie Kirk's tragic assassination and said the radical left did this, and then we heard a chorus of "we are at war." And that does permeate the entirety of American society, that they hear that from the top. We don't know
garbage.
that much.
That is absolute garbage.
It is.
Continue. When something terrible happens
Greg,
when somebody gets murdered, you're saying, how dare you be enraged by it? Continue.
No, what I say is, how dare
there is no,
you
I'll give you the both. No, Jessica, I'll give you the both sides.
Greg,
I agree with you. There is both sides. On one hand, you have the hard left, and on the other hand, you have the left.
Why are you
They're the both sides of the same coin. Because you walk into this room and you're not reading it. There is no both sides. You don't have the evidence for that.
That's not true.
You can't say that Donald Trump says this.
Someone.
You guys act on it. You guys act on it. We don't. What do you want?
What do I want? I would like to talk about the specifics of who Vance Bolter actually was, since we fought about that last time. Because you make it out as if this was just that he knew Melissa Hortman.
Let's focus on this thing now. I'll destroy you on that later.
No.
But focus on this now.
Fine,
you want to go back?
Focus on this now. This looks like a kid that was inflamed either by the leftist cabal, or maybe he used his own eyes. And maybe he saw what's going on. Maybe there are people in his community who are being picked up by people from ICE. Maybe he saw raids at Home Depot. Or maybe he did hear J.B. Pritzker. He seems like a Morning Joe viewer to me, right? Someone who had tuned in, saw Hillary Clinton, and then went out and grabbed his gun. The common denominator in all of this is that we have young men, usually young white men, who have access to these guns and are carrying out these tragedies. They are nihilists. They live online. And again, do you think it's normal that people are writing on casings anti-ICE? They think that it's a joke. You look at Tyler Robinson's text messages with his roommate and partner. It reads like a joke. They just wanted us on Fox News to have to be able to read that stuff out loud. He even said it in the messages. So I get it. You're amped up. I don't think that I said anything worthy of that level of explosion.
Your rationalization of both sides. You have to understand, since Kurt's death, there is no both sides anymore, Jessica.
Why did the DOJ take down the study that showed how much right-wing extremism?
What study was that? Which one? The one in The Economist that was sponsored by a group run by a guy in Antifa? That study that has been discredited by the Federalists? You're walking down a really bad alley right now.
Federalists?
Yes. I actually did see, Jessica, I did the deep dive on that study. That study was authored by a project that was run by a guy who says he was an Antifa. That is why that whole thing has been scrubbed, okay? It's real simple. You label someone a fascist or a racist or a Nazi, it makes you free to attack them, and that has been the ideology from the start. It's weird.
So why?
No. Let me talk.
Trump does it.
What?
Just tell me why it's okay.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Great. I'm enjoying this.
Okay. You won't be for long. The left calls Trump a hate monger. They have called me a hate monger because I ridicule the left. I ridicule protesters. I ridicule academia, Hollywood, the news media. I make fun of The View every day. I make fun of the UN. Guess what? No one acts on the things that I say because my side doesn't do that. We say people are stupid. We say people are wrong, but we don't say they're evil. That is your game. Okay. And then you come and you say, okay, man, this is a mentally ill loner. Well, who do you think does this stuff? It's not Ben Affleck. It's not Tom Brady. It's not even Carrot Top. People who do this stuff are always that way. The question is, who points them in that direction? Why pick ICE? Why pick Kirk? Why target TV stations and put bombs under Fox trucks? Why vandalize memorials? Why kill kids in Catholic schools? Two things can be true. A person can be mentally ill, and you can be guiding him to that place in his life. That is how brainwashing works.
There is a litany of examples. That
you will not have them. If I gave you 2 months to look for them, you couldn't find them because they've been debunked.
Really?
You have one thing.
The
If you want to talk about, if you want to talk a minute,
Salas's son has been debunked. Dylan Roof has been debunked. Vance Bolter and his list
Vance
of
Bolter,
dozens
we can talk
of
about that,
Democrats.
but
Sure, go ahead and talk about it.
Okay, you want to talk about it?
I do.
Okay, there was not.
It's a bunch of toxic masculine. Let the woman talk. He trying to overtalk her. See, this is how the debates don't work like this. I'm actually annoyed by him because he's stating his point, but he's just over talking her. Shut the fuck up.
There was an intent and a motive for her killing by her killer alone. It wasn't Five. It wasn't National Review. It wasn't any show going like, you know what? We need to go after this fascist. Hopefully someone will take her out. That never happened.
Guys,
that is why your analogy is so pointless and desperate.
Pipe bombs being sent to Democrats' houses. People saying in court, I was inspired by Donald Trump.
If you want to do this math, you're going to be embarrassed.
Brown people. According to you, I'm embarrassed every day. So frankly, I'm just feeling normal. Thank you.
We should do this every week.
Yes. I honestly, it's first day of the week with Greg seems to go badly for me. So.
Well, you don't come in here
That's
with
not
both
true.
sides.
It's not.
It's like going into a funeral and saying, "Hey, let's have a kegger."
Well, sometimes you should just celebrate the life.
We're all mourning and rooting for and praying for everybody who was injured at that ICE facility. And as far as we know, it looks like some of the detainees, in other words, some of the potential illegal aliens, were some of those who were affected. Look, just because we don't support illegal aliens, we don't want them to be executed by violent assassins engaged in political violence either. So we're praying both for our ICE agents, but also for everybody who's affected by this terrible attack. But that was an ICE facility. And as these guys behind me know, and a few of our police officers know, police officers writ large face too many threats of violence all across the United States of America. We're all mourning and rooting.
Boy, if that wasn't a triple axle spin off the ice, man, we Nancy Kerrigan with all that spinning on the ice. Come on, man. Like, this no ICE agent was injured in this attack. Not one. Okay, but I digress. As a foundational black American, this is not my war. I do not want to talk to you middle-aged white guys about your young white men. I don't want to do it. Y'all can't look. When I see my young black brothers out here doing bad, out here committing crimes, I want to go talk to them. I want to go find their mama. I want to go find their daddy. I want to go talk to them and tell them, look, man, look, I've been down that road. You want to know what's on that road? Long nights, long sleepless nights. You stuck in a small two-man cell for God knows how long. Maybe until the day you die. If that don't happen, whatever. But even if I see a young black man who getting bad grades on his report card, or if I see a young man doing good in school, prospering in his life, hey, who has a job, I want to talk to them. I want to talk to my people. I think you guys should talk to yours, because y'all blaming everybody but yourselves. Not male fragility is a thing. White male fragility is a real thing. And right now, we need to have a come to Jesus moment. Now, this is not me telling y'all what y'all should do, because I'm not going to Charlie Kirk y'all. I'm just telling you what I would do to my black brothers. I would be mortified if I was seeing more young black brothers out here doing this day in and day out, in which we do. We see the gun violence in our neighborhoods, and you know what? We don't want that shit. We, as a man who's been in the streets, I don't want that. I don't want to see my kids going through that. I don't want to see them experience it from somebody else. So I do things within my community to help my community? Yes, I do, because I want to see change within my community. And that is what Charlie Kirk never did. Charlie Kirk can tell you everything, every statistic about a black man, but he couldn't tell you one time that he went down and spoke with some young black men. He couldn't tell you one time that he helped some young black man get his record expunged. He couldn't tell you one time where he helped a young black man be more involved in his family's life, or to get a job, or to get some wheels to get to work, or to get his license. He couldn't tell y'all one time that he has done anything. So that's why I say Charlie Kirk was overstepping his boundaries, meddling into our business, because this is our community, and we need to step up and help our community, which y'all don't hear often. I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all don't hear that. Y'all just see, oh, black people do this. No. But when it comes to this, I do not see anyone standing up to this. I mean, he is. Yeah, he is. But he's standing up to it, but he's not calling it out. Like, y'all got to call it out. There's a few, that lady, she said, white men, we can go back to the clip. She said these young white men are feeling some type of way. And guess what? That's y'all problem. Y'all need to address it. But instead, y'all flipping the script. It's the Democrats. It's this. Are we not addressing what's going on? Young white males having these high-powered weapons at their disposal that their father gave them. Now, then this is not race baiting. This is just telling the truth. It's like, this is what happens when you see a young black man who's in Chicago. I'm gonna just use them as an example. They gonna have to catch this stray for whatever. And you see a weekend of violence, 70 people shot and freaking 100 different shootings and 8 people dead, and you be like, damn. And then you out there calling your folks, hey man, what can we do? Then you got rappers and moguls on the phone with other high-powered people in Chicago, like, hey, what can we do? Because how can we get a peace-free weekend so we can stop this narrative that all we do is shoot on the weekend? And then you got to get the OGs. Then you got to go down to lower levels. Cause these calls be made. Y'all don't know that because this ain't y'all community. But y'all not, but these are dealing with gangs and all this other stuff, a bunch of nonsense. But there is a tier of people that can get to these young black men. I think y'all need to figure this out within y'all's kids, because I think y'all don't pay them enough attention to know that these motherfuckers is gonna get these guns and go out here and shoot ICE. And it's so crazy. He has anti-ICE on the bullet, and he shoots migrants. You know what I think? I think that's a play on words. I think what he wants to say is he's against ICE because he gonna just take them out. They don't even belong here. He just want to take them out. What would make somebody want to just take out a human being just for living, just for being somewhere, just for crossing imaginary lines to become a citizen of what is the greatest nation in the world? We are the greatest nation in the world. Say, you think, what's his name? Kevin Durant used to play with Oklahoma City. And you think he wanted to go play at he wanted to go play at, who was terrible at the time? You think he wanted to go play in New York with the Knicks? From Oklahoma City to New York, who was the worst team in the league at the time? No, he went to go play at the best at Golden State. Where do you think these migrants want to go? Do you think they want to go from Venezuela to Nicaragua, or to central Mexico or Mexico City? Or do you think they want to go there? Hell no. They want to pull a Kevin Durant. They want to come to the best team in the world. America, baby. So, this man don't like it. So he say, this is the ice stopper. So he write anti-ice on a bullet and start shooting migrants. Nobody came up with that theory, did they? Only theory they came up with is, oh, they're attacking ICE agents. How? Not one ICE agent nicked. The ICE agent didn't even have to get down.
If you want to stop political violence, look in the mirror. That's the way that we stop political violence in this country, and we've got to do it. And while we're all mourning and rooting for and praying for everybody who was injured at that ICE facility, and as far as we know, it looks like some of the detainees, in other words, some of the potential illegal aliens, were some of those who were affected. Look, just because we don't support illegal aliens, we don't want them to be executed by violent assassins engaged in political violence either. So we're praying both for our ICE agents, but also for everybody who's affected by this terrible attack. But that was an ICE facility. And as these guys behind me know, and a few of our... And they said that immigration enforcement, you know what they said? That immigration enforcement had detained a 5-year-old autistic girl in order to get to that girl's father. Turned out that story was a complete fabrication. It was a complete dishonest lie. But when you go around and lie about our law enforcement and you tell them that they're mistreating 5-year-old girls, what do you think is going to happen? When Democratic politicians incur doxing, when they encourage us to unmask ICE enforcement officers, what do you think is going to happen? When the mayor of Los Angeles encourages violent protesters to get in the face of our law enforcement, what do you think is going to happen? What's going to happen is political violence, and political violence has gotten out of control in this country. We got to stop it. We got to condemn it. And that starts, unfortunately, at the very top of the Democratic Party. If you want to stop political violence, stop attacking our law enforcement as the Gestapo. If you want to stop political violence, stop telling your supporters that everybody who disagrees with you is a Nazi. If you want to stop political violence, look in the mirror. That's the way that we stop political violence in this country, and we've got to do
it. I'm just gonna take a wild guess. He planned this speech for another incident, not specifically this incident, but he said, hell, this is time to use this speech right now. Bruh. Read the room. Okay? This ain't the time for that speech. Right speech, wrong time. But whatever.
Of course, VP Maybe It's Maybelline didn't wait for the facts relating to the Dallas ICE facility mass pew-pewing before releasing this obnoxious statement. Going on to the twattersphere to say the obsessive attack on law enforcement, particularly ICE, must stop. I'm praying for everyone hurt in this attack and for their families. I sure hope you are praying for the detainees who were attacked today. Fatalities have been reported after a sniper took up a position near an ICE facility in Dallas. Now, they only targeted the detainees. No guards were injured, but detainees were hurt and even unalived in this. And the assailant was found deceased of a self-inflicted wound. So I sure as heck hope you are praying, JD, not only for those injured and those lost and their families, but, you know, you probably only care about folks that look like us. Which is not a very Catholic thing to do. I'm sure Pope Leo would like to have a few words on that. But, you know, let's not wait for actual truth or facts to come out before you start going on to Twitter, putting out bull crap, trying to spin the narrative so you can go after marginalized groups you want to target a lot faster. I sure as heck hope you are praying, JD.
The rhetoric has to stop. There are people out there who are seeing what is being placed online, and they're coming and they're doing acts of violence against ICE employees. So that's kind of all I have for today, is that it's just got to stop. It's dangerous, and people are losing their lives. The rhetoric has to stop. You've made far too many people in this country on the left believe that they are facing an existential threat. You aren't just talking to crazy people, you are creating lunatics. And they're letting us know with what they are inscribing on their ammunition. Stop. No more of this. You've made far too many people in this country on the left believe that they are facing an existential threat.
My source is now telling me the shooter fired into an unmarked van. The van was transporting the detainees. The detainees were struck inside of that van. Again, based on what we know about this situation, that chain of events would certainly seem plausible. Again, this is what we're being told by a source very close to the investigation. We are working to double check and confirm it for you now.
The Dallas field office came under sniper fire today. Multiple rounds were fired into the building indiscriminately, into the lobby doors, the windows, various walls in the building, but also our Sally Port, which is where we bring in the secure location for detainees. The shooter fired indiscriminately into vehicles. The detainees were in the vehicle at the time. They weren't outside. There was no way he could have known detainees were in there. There were also officers from other agencies, other federal partners assisting us. 3 detainees were hit. 1, unfortunately, was killed. The sniper did commit suicide by a self-inflicted gunshot wound. What's even scarier is the location where the field office is. There's businesses around there. Busy I-35, 6:40 in the morning. People going to school, people going to work. He had a high-powered rifle. You can see from the photos, went through the windows into lobby walls, penetrated deep, hit the American flag. He could have, in his indiscriminate fire, hit people traveling to work, civilians on the ground. A very scary situation. But unfortunately, someone did lose their life, and it was a definite attack on an ICE facility.
It could have been worse.
Could have been worse, but any type of violence like this is just horrific.
And just to confirm the numbers, Director, 1 person who was in ICE custody at the time is dead.
Yes.
And the other 2 are in critical condition?
Critical condition, in surgery in local area hospitals.
Also detainees?
Also detainees, and the shooter is deceased as well.
What do we know about the detainee who died?
So we're still going through that. Obviously, we have to make consular notifications to their home country, family, that they have it. So I really don't want to go, divulge any of that at this time, out of respect for the detainee and his family. But yeah, horrific. No one should come under fire like that in the U.S.
Do we know who the shooter was targeting?
It was a definite targeted attack on an ICE facility. You don't shoot out the windows. You just don't shoot at the random vehicles. You don't pick that location, a specific spot in Dallas, just to make a statement. When you have anti-ICE rhetoric written on the bullets, you know who they're targeting.
Some women can start working in as 1 week.